It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I am your humble host, Kevin Keatsman, in the seat, getting ready for the big Memorial Day weekend. 20 degrees below average. Oceans of Fun is closed. Nobody going to the pool. Gosh, where are all the global warmists now? Where are these people that this was all going to be over? The polar caps were going to melt. Hawaii was going to be underwater. Obama's house in New York or Massachusetts would be gone by now. Where are all these people when we have these stunning events? This is the worst Memorial Day weekend I can ever remember, but that's going to be okay. We're going to find a way to make it great, and we all have some time off, so we hope you enjoy it with your family and friends safely. And remember those that have gone before us, both in service of our country and people in your own family. We've got a nice broadcast lined up for you today, including this question: why is Caitlin Clark playing in the WNBA? You've heard her name. You may not know much about the story. Why is she in this league? I first of all, I don't think she ever should have gone in and played there, but why is she? We'll explore that question because she got beat up in a game again last night. They're just picking on her and don't care for her much. J.J. Carroll will be with us at 10:30. This guy is terrific. He's a former deputy in charge of the United States Border Patrol sector in San Diego. And he believes that Joe Biden, through non-government organizations or the people behind Joe Biden's auto pen, selected 180 countries nationwide and brought in 30 million people through the borders. And a year into the Biden presidency, he resigned and said, I can't do this. I'm not allowed to do my job. There were 84 executive orders sent down to this man, and he's like, a year into Biden, he's like, I'm out. He is now a best-selling author and podcaster on this subject, and he is here with us today at 10:30. You'll be fascinated by what he has to say. And we'll check in with Mark at the end of the show. A lot of great topics. As always, we like to surprise him with those. We don't want to give too much away. So we have a terrorism problem in this country, and the Democrats like to tell you that it's domestic terrorism by conservatives, which is a complete fraud and a total joke. In fact, that's exactly what James Comey's new book is about, a MAGA extremist who becomes America's biggest threat as a terrorist, which is interesting because we see a whole bunch of liberal, progressive, socialist, communist, Marxist, whatever they are, terrorists on the left going after healthcare CEOs, Jewish people walking out of a Jewish museum, and many other incidents that have taken place over the last several years, including, the congressmen that were practicing their softball game, a justice of the Supreme Court with a guy coming to his house to break into his house and get him. I mean, there's just been one thing after another with these liberal domestic terrorists. And that's what they have in the case here with the two young people that were killed in D.C. a couple of nights ago. The person that allegedly perpetrated this crime is Elias Rodriguez, 30 years old, from Chicago. He's never been to Gaza. I don't think he knows there is no Palestine. I don't think he knows the issue at all. He's been radicalized by political ideology. Daily Mail is reporting today that his dad, this always turns out, do you ever notice when somebody does one of these heinous things, there's a connection, you're just like, I'll be damned. And this is the one. The alleged killer's dad, Eric Rodriguez, was at the Trump speech at the Capitol in March as a guest of a Democrat Congressman, Chuy Garcia from Illinois. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The guy's dad was a political activist, clearly. He was a guest of a Democrat, an anti-Trump, to the core dude. You're such a great anti-Trumper in Illinois. We love you, Mr. Rodriguez, so much. We want you to come to the speech. And he sits there and watches it, and the kid probably adores his dad and believes the things that his dad believes. Well, the Chuy Garcia's people saying, we don't know the Eric Rodriguez's family. Eric Rodriguez didn't do this. It was allegedly his son. There's always connections, and it runs deep within this party. And this particular issue is different than the United Healthcare CEO and some of the others because this is clearly anti-Jew. That's what this is. I'm not sure the guy who did this even knows anything about the issue. Like, I don't know that much about the issue, but I can keep score. I've been in sports my whole life. I know the scoreboard when I see it. What I don't see is Jewish people hanging outside Muslim centers killing people as they come out. I don't see that. We've had a lot of Muslim or Islamic extremist terrorism in this country. There's even more, obviously, in the Middle East and in Europe. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom has said he needs to close off immigration in the UK to Muslims coming in because it's becoming a problem. The problem is summed up best by Charlie Kirk, who's with Turning Point USA. And I'll play a clip here, and it's a little long, but this is Charlie Kirk in the United Kingdom on their television with their anchor, their liberal people there, explaining to them why they cannot continue to both keep their country and allow Muslims to pour in open borders that our societies are not and will never be compatible. This is deep thinking. Listen to this from Charlie Kirk.
The question is macro Islam compatible with Western values? Macro. Of course it's not. There are three major reasons why. Islam does not believe in freedom of speech. Islam does not believe in freedom of religion. And Islam does not believe in separation of mosque and state. Those three things are antithetical to the West. In a Muslim-majority country, most Muslim-majority countries, you cannot criticize the Prophet Muhammad. In most Muslim-majority countries, you do not have the same robust freedom of religion protections. And finally, whereas we in the West are very careful to try to intermix religion and state, they are commanded to actually go into the state and try to change the state to be more Islamic around the core pillars of Islam. And the last thing I'll finally say is I cannot see a single Western country that has become more Islamic and has become a better place to live that is happier or freer.
By what metric? Just happiness, quality?
Everything from quality of life, from cultural cohesion, from whether people want to live there, prior to the native-born fertility rates.
Again, people watching this will say is your criticism of the religion itself or not Muslim people? Because there are British Muslims who have been born here.
You don't have to caveat it all the time. I know you guys have to because you're British and all that. A culture ceases to exist when we don't have unified language. When you cannot talk to your neighbor. I'm not discounting that there are good individual Muslims. The question that we need to reckon with the West is Mohammedism compatible with the teachings of Blackstone? Is it compatible with the legacy of Wilberforce?
All right.
And the great thinkers that have come from this country? And I will say, no, there's a reason why when you go to these Islamic countries that you're not going to see the equal protection of rights, that you do not believe in universal human equality, that you do not believe the same things that we believe in the West. And I think it's suicidal to import millions of them.
Yeah, and you know what, just on a passing point on that, it's most of the time, as far as I'm concerned, it's not even multicultural. Because there was an example there was a school a few months ago during Easter which cancelled Easter celebrations out of respect for other faiths. So it's not as if the word multicultural and multi-diverse doesn't include Christianity.
No, and again, this is the red-green axis, and Britain is at the forefront of this. You have the Marxists that have infiltrated your government and the Islamists that are coming to your country. And when they combine together, they both agree on one thing. They have huge disagreements on a lot. They hate the West, and they want to see it broken.
That's exactly right. That's Ilhan Omar. She hates the West. She hates America. She wants to see it broken. She will not comment on this shooter and on this killing 2 nights ago. She walks away from cameras. But a couple of weeks ago, she said the biggest threat for Americans, United States citizens, is that, quote, we should all be more fearful of white men. That's Ilhan Omar. She's in our Congress. They're infiltrating the country. This country was not built for them. It was absolutely built for immigration, but it was built for immigration and assimilation. You come here because you love this country and this culture. And although it's not mandated, most people originally came here. They also liked the religion. They were Christians. When you come with your religion, and your religion is before your country, the religion is before your family, the religion is before anything else that you do, and you bring that here, and your religion does not believe in free speech, it doesn't believe in freedom of religion, you can only have one religion, and it doesn't believe in the separation of church and state, you're not compatible in the United States. Ilhan Omar and people like her can never be compatible in this country, ever. It's impossible, unless they take their religious beliefs and put them behind their beliefs of being an American citizen. By the way, that's not allowed in their religion. You're basically out of the church. You're no longer a Muslim. You can't be a practicing Muslim. You're done. You can't put the United States of America ahead of your faith. They're not compatible. And Charlie Kirk spells it out right there perfectly. What we can do about this, I don't know. I mentioned yesterday on the show This is you have a blind spot in your car, and I actually almost hit somebody on the way in today. It would have been my fault. I was cruising down 435, and I got a truck that's coming in, and in front, you're jammed in. You're like, I'm just going to go one lane over. I looked, I didn't see the little blind spot light on, and it's where it merges, and it's usually wide open. There's never any cars there, so I took it for granted. And I started to move, and there was a car. I didn't hit him. It wasn't any real dangerous thing. But we all have blind spots in life, and we have moments where we don't see something that's very easy to see. This one is in plain sight. We have a blind spot, whether it's in our laws or our Constitution in this country, that does not protect us from ideologies and people coming and taking over our country, using our values against us because they don't believe in them, but using them to their advantage and inciting and teaching other people things that are not consistent with being an American. And that's what we have here. You can't explain a kid that grows up in Chicago that age 30, his dad is some hardened Democrat at a Trump speech invited by a congressman that decides that the most important thing is to free Palestine, which I'm going to guess the kid can't even, he's a 30-year-old man. I'm going to guess he couldn't even find on a map where Gaza is. I'm all but assuring you he's not an expert, that this was just radicalization, that this is wrong. What they're doing to what the Israelis are doing to these people in Gaza is wrong. We need to free Palestine. And I've got, we all had that, especially if you're a guy. We got a lot of ladies listening, I know, but if you're a guy, young men are easily radicalized. We have something we believe in. Lucky for me, it was sports, rock and roll, and beer. And thankfully, at some point, girls. And it wasn't going and killing people because of their religion or where they're from. But we're impressionable. You've heard the term angry young men. Most young men can get angry over the littlest of things. It's actually quite natural for men to be that way. It's the way God intended us to be. But it was intended for good forces, not evil. And we've got all these people running around doing this. We have a Florida woman attacked a guy, a 72-year-old man this week, for wearing a MAGA hat. She went up, picked a fight with him. She had a can in her hand, like one of those Monster energy drink things. And dude's got a MAGA hat on, and she goes up and says something to him, and she doesn't like what he says, and she pours her drink over his hat, trying to ruin his hat, and he tries to pull away from her. Then she crushes him over the head with the can, and he falls to the ground. She's been charged with 2 counts of assault. Who are these people? How do you just walk up to somebody triggered by a hat? That's a young woman that did that. Because of a MAGA hat? I mean, I like talking about this stuff. This is all really important to me. This is my life. I live these things. I love my country. I want us to be great. It just seems like the forces of evil on the other side trying to convince and radicalize and mobilize people to take physical action is frightening. And we should have seen more of this coming, because the last few years on that side, they've been running around saying it was going to be people on the right that were going to do this. And James Comey's writing books about it. And all of these, the fake Virginia thing that happened. And the insurrection where not one insurrectionist had a gun. What? It's going to be the right that does this? It's a terrible, terrible, sad story that's touched our community. I don't have the answer. We've got a blind spot in our republic. It allows this to happen. You can convince and teach and work with people all you want to radicalize them, and it's not really a crime to do that now, is it? Pete and I just talked about what happens at universities. There's plenty of it there as well. It's free speech, it's America, and it's still a very sad day. We will not forget Sarah Milgram. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I hope you noticed the magical trick of radio. I used Charlie Kirk to make my point for me, because he's way better at that than I am. He's a theologian as well. I mean, he knows like every religion in the world inside and out, and understands how they conflict with governments, societies, and nations. I think he's brilliant on that topic, so I hope you enjoyed that. Much better for him to explain it than yours truly. Here is Mark and Gardner. Mark, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good, Kevin. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. I was listening to the monologue, and it was spot on. And I believe that the Democratic Party has become nothing but a terrorist organization. And there's sleeper cells, are people that just pop up and take these random acts of violence or protest, or they say that the Republicans use dog whistles. So they just call out for it right out front. They don't mince words. They say, let's fight them in the streets. And like that Christine Blasey pops up when there's Brett Kavanaugh hearing. I mean, I believe they're just a terrorist organization.
Yeah, I think maybe I'd call them a revolutionary group. And I think, Trump has said there's a MAGA revolution going on. I think we're the counter-revolution. I think we're going back to what America is supposed to be and was and what she was designed to be. I think we're the counter-revolution to their revolution. They've had control for 15 to 20 years, basically, changed so much in this country that MAGA, to me, is a counter-revolution. But these people are revolutionaries. They literally want to destroy the Constitution. They want it to go away. They believe that a new one should be written for a new age and a new era, and conservatives do not. So we're all just very different in that way.
I agree, and I was raised Democratic. My father was a World War II veteran. My mom, both Democrats. They wouldn't know the party today.
Yeah,
and it's just disgusting. I mean, I vote. I didn't. George Bush was the first Republican I voted for. When I finally woke up and saw and I take it back to the Vietnam protests. That's who's running our country today.
Right.
The people that were the radicals in the 60s that were the ones, the Clintons.
And yet, great call. And yet now they're pro-war. Those people are now pro-war. It's crazy. You can't make this stuff up. Lance is in the Northland on KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, Lance.
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, I was just calling regarding your debate with Patrick there, rather energetic debate yesterday. And I think the issue that I saw was that you're actually talking from two different definitions of the economy. He's looking at it from a GDP and production and, all the things that your traditional economists look for. But you're looking at it from a more classical definition, which is the good of the home. That's where the root of the word economy comes from. And so he's thinking everything that if you get lower prices and you can get more stuff, that's a healthy economy. But if you don't have a manufacturing base or a base where people can provide for their families and have the basics, what's it matter if you can have 3 TVs?
Yeah.
And I think that's where that disconnect is. And I think we just generally use different definitions for that debate. And when it comes down to that, I think maybe the point to him is, hey, man, the economy you're talking about would not have been recognized for the first 1900 years of existence. The classics, the Greeks, nobody would have recognized that as the economy. What you're talking about is way different.
Yeah, it was a really fascinating discussion. And just so everybody knows, after Patrick and I did what we did on the air yesterday, Patrick Tuohy, the Show Me Institute, we talked for several minutes here in the studio. We went down the elevator together. We stood in the parking lot. We shook hands. We laughed. We changed. We're in agreement on so many things. He's a libertarian, and I guess maybe I don't know. I've had people tell me I am, but I don't think I am. I may be a conservative. I don't know what I am. I just know what I believe. And I check my bias right here and tell you right up front. My life has been revolving around sports forever, and so these stadium issues are important to me. And I want to keep these teams, and I want this to work right. And I really don't care if it's Kansas or Missouri, but I think competition is good, and we should be competing against each other. And I'm thrilled that Donald Trump is competing against the world. Today, he threatened a 50% tariff on the European Union and slapped Apple with a 25% tariff if they don't make iPhones in America. Now, this was not news to Apple. He told Tim Cook this a long time ago. So this wasn't news about Apple. He's just reminding them it's time to start digging some dirt and building these manufacturing plants, because if you don't build these things and make the iPhone here, we're going to slap a tariff on you. Trump's not messing around, and he's not messing around with the European Union. It's going to be a 50% tariff if they don't come to the table and work something out. I think competition is good. That's Trump on our behalf competing for our country. I think Kansas and Missouri should be competing for businesses, housing projects, and everything else on both sides of the state line. Mark, I've asked the question, why is Caitlin Clark playing in the WNBA? We've got the Savannah Bananas in town this weekend with the Royals. Sold out. This husband and wife went $2 million in debt and said, we're going to get a minor league team and we're going to change entertainment and go start our own deal. They now have a contract with ESPN to be on television. Caitlin Clark could start her own league. She is the WNBA. This was a failing league that had never made a profit, didn't have any ratings, and nobody in the seats until she came along. And now they're letting all the other players and teams treat her like dog meat out there. She gets pounded again by this chick from Atlanta last night. Why is she in this league? Why doesn't she start her own basketball league?
I think that she grew up liking the WNBA, so I think it's kind of in her to want to elevate the league. That would be my guess. I haven't asked her, but
she could have been, and I don't know this, she could have come into this league the farthest left, most liberal athlete in the history of the world, and after a couple of years in this league, she's going to be all MAGA. I mean, literally, she's got a chick bullying her on the floor after the game, claiming that all the white fans that came to see Caitlin, her fans, are racists and were shouting slurs at the black players, which didn't happen. How long until Caitlin Clark just explodes and comes out and goes, when is this league going to take care of this crap?
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
I don't understand why she could literally start her own 8-team league easy, get some investors and get a TV contract. This is like when Tiger came out on the PGA Tour, except they didn't try to hurt him. The other golfers weren't trying to hurt the guy.
Yeah, they're not angling their shots at him.
Like, of course they're jealous that he's better, but my God, they all made money because of Tiger Woods. These women are not smart enough to know they're about to get rich and make money because of Caitlin Clark. You should be her best friend. If you became her best friend, you might get endorsements. I don't get it, man. There's something really weird going on in the WNBA. We have the lowest temperatures for Memorial Day weekend that anybody can remember. And how about this? Adjusted for inflation, the lowest gas prices in 22 years.
That's pretty nice.
Jessica says, why do they always talk about gas prices Memorial Day weekend? It's like every year. I'm like, I don't know. It's a barometer. People hit the road.
Yeah, usually they up the gas prices at this time of year because they know people are going to be on the road. But
did you ever do a Memorial Day road trip? Have you ever done that?
I haven't done anything too exciting.
We used to do that with the kids all the time. We'd find some place to go because, there wasn't much work. Sports was kind of slow. It's like, let's get away. We try to bail out maybe on Friday, extend it, make it 4 days.
Actually, now that you're talking about it, we did go down to Springfield and went to their zoo a couple of years ago. So, we've done that.
There you go. That's what Memorial Day weekend's all about.
Yeah.
People hit the road and go somewhere. Did you go to that place that has the throwed rolls?
Yes, we had to go there. Lambert's.
You better have your eye open if you're eating there, man. You better be on it. I don't know if Bill Belichick is really engaged or not to this girl. Do we know yet for sure if this is true?
They claim it's true, but I don't know.
What's her name? Jordan?
Jordan, yeah.
Jordan. So Mac Brown is the former coach at North Carolina, and he's now commenting on Bill Belichick taking over. And he said, well, he should win. This is Mac Brown, the guy that's out that Belichick replaced. They gave him all kinds of money to pay players, and they lowered the academic standards at North Carolina for Belichick, which they would never do for Mac Brown.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Bring anybody in you want. We'll cheat for them in the classroom. We just want to win football games. And of course, if they win the ACC, they still won't get a bye in the college football playoff, as the college football playoff has announced that they're going to pure seeding this year, 1 through 12. That means seeds 1 through 4 get a bye. Last year, it was the 4 conference champions got a bye. They've already dumped that. They want the SEC and the Big Ten to have all 4 of those byes.
Yeah, Arizona State would have been an 11 seed last year, most likely, instead of getting a bye. That's pretty lame.
But don't you think this is just the SEC and Big Ten flexing their muscle?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they want all the power.
We want and will have the byes. The Royals get no byes this weekend. They're playing the Twins. The Royals, the Twins, and the Guardians are all exactly 5 games back of the Tigers. It's a 3-way tie for second place. It's a terribly low bar, but they have to win 1 game this weekend.
Yeah, I hope they win the series.
That'd be great.
I'm being optimistic here, but with their rookie, he's been pitching well. Maybe they can sneak out a win on a Friday night. Who knows?
Salvy's favorite ballpark, coming off a big game on Wednesday. Let's go. But you got to find a way to win 1. You can't lose 3 to a team you're tied with in the standings.